Parliament has approved a motion calling on 2 Workers' Party members currently running Aljunied-Hougang Town Council to recuse themselves from its financial matters. 52 MPs supported the motion, 9 voted against and 2 abstained. Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat had tabled the motion after a recent High Court ruling that Workers' Party Chairman Sylvia Lim and Senior Member Low Thia Khiang acted dishonestly and were not transparent.
The judgment, following an 8-year saga, found that Ms. Lau and Ms. Lim had breached their fiduciary duties by appointing a managing agent without calling for a tender. This appointment resulted in more than $33 million being paid to the agent, which was held by conflicted parties. The judge described the actions of the MPs as dishonest and said their conduct lacked integrity and candour. Previously, neither the Workers' Party MPs nor Aljunied-Hougang Town Council responded to last month's judgment. Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat moved the motion to affirm the importance of high standards of integrity and accountability in Parliament.
It pains me to move this motion, in particular because one of the 2 MPs named in it, Mr. Low Thia Khiang, if I may be permitted a personal note at the outset, he is someone for whom I've always had a high regard.
But Mr. Heng said he had to consider important questions of public interest. They should have done the honest thing of being transparent by disclosing all the facts and calling an open tender. But they did the opposite by telling untruths and manipulating the circumstances so their friends would be appointed. He said they allowed their friends to overcharge as managing agents and misled their own town councillors and auditors to hide the truth. Mr. Heng added that the Workers' Party maintains they are not answerable to the courts or to Parliament. They had told the court that as elected MPs, they are not accountable to the courts for serious mismanagement of public funds. But both the High Court and the Court of Appeal disagreed.
Almost 4 weeks have passed since the court judgment. The Workers' Party has been totally silent on this matter. So has AHTC. This is why I have to ask in Parliament, what does the current chairman of AHTC, Mr. Faisal Manap, intend to do? At the minimum, will he apologize to residents of Aljunied and Hougang for letting them down? An apology will be the first step, a belated recognition that they had let residents down and an intention to put things right. Is he going to require the MPs so severely judged and found wanting by the court to recuse themselves from the town council affairs pending the disposal of any appeal they may file? Very serious adverse findings were made against them, findings that go to the heart of the integrity of these MPs and the deceptive manner in which they conducted the town council's affairs. How can they remain in charge of the town council's affairs as if it's business as usual? At the very least, should not the chairman and other town councillors require them to recuse themselves from handling the town council's financial matters as called for in this motion? Until the appeal is, if any, is over, will Mr. Faisal Manap remove Ms. Sylvia Lim as Vice Chairman? Or will he allow her to continue to be in a position where she can co-sign checks on behalf of AHTC? If AHTC were a company, Ms. Sylvia Lim and Mr. Low Thia Khiang would at the very least have been interdicted, prohibited or restrained from acting pending their appeal. Most likely, they would have been forced to leave the company a long time ago, when AGO and then KPMG made their findings, instead of being allowed to carry on in the same roles and enjoying the same degree of financial oversight over public funds. If they were members of a professional body, and many members of this House are members of professional body, their acts of dishonesty would have brought them before a disciplinary tribunal. As the earlier judgment of the High Court noted, they might have been exposed to civil liability or, in extreme scenario, to criminal liability. And in light of how they have misled this House and the absence of a response by the Town Council, I would like to know what, if anything, the Workers' Party's remaining MPs and NCMPs propose to do about these findings pending any appeal. Will they at long last be conducting their own investigations, or will they continue to dodge and deny? As Secretary General and Chairman, respectively, of the Workers' Party, Mr. Pritam Singh and Ms. Sylvia Lim are responsible for party standards and discipline. Both are themselves involved in the AHTC problem. But it is still their duty to act for the Workers' Party. Will they apologize on behalf of the Workers' Party? Will they direct Mr. Faisal Manap to do the right thing to protect AHTC's governance? Will they temporarily stand aside themselves and allow some other Workers' Party CEC member to take charge of this matter? Again, a standard practice in the corporate world. If nothing is done from now till the appeal is concluded, we will be forced to conclude that the Workers' Party, by its inaction, in fact endorses the dishonest conduct and the breach of the fiduciary duties that has already occurred and is complicit in the wrongdoing. I hope that the Workers' Party will take action. There were other financial and governance lapses which occurred in AHTC. The Workers' Party has put them right, albeit after a long delay and after denying and resisting for many years. In doing so, the Workers' Party have shown that they are in fact capable of taking steps to put their house in order when further obfuscation and delay at last becomes untenable.
Mr. Heng said this case is a reminder of the need for probity. He hopes that all would agree that the MPs should be expected to not mislead their fellow town councillors, the public, Parliament or the court.
I'm moving this motion because integrity is of the utmost importance in elected officials. Singapore has succeeded only because we have maintained a culture of honesty and integrity in the public service. Those who participate in politics must be honest, upright people who can be trusted to uphold the public interest, speak the truth, even at a cost to themselves, and admit their mistakes when they have done wrong. They have to uphold these principles, even when it is politically inconvenient to do so. And we need to do this whether you are a government or opposition MP, whether you represent a constituency in Parliament, or are an NCMP or NMP. Because if we cannot trust a politician to tell the truth, we cannot trust him to safeguard public funds, to put the public interest ahead of personal gain, or to make decisions in the best interest of Singapore and Singaporeans. For this reason, we have always taken any accusations of dishonesty against political leaders very seriously. Certainly, the 4 GPAP leaders intend to continue maintaining the high standards which we have achieved and upheld for so many years since the PAP first formed the government in 1959. For we must ensure that MPs, both government and opposition, are men and women of integrity. It is in the vital interest of Singapore and Singaporeans for members of the opposition also to be persons of integrity, and not persons who cannot be trusted with public funds, much less national responsibilities. If any PAP minister or MP is accused of lying, the Prime Minister would do a thorough investigation. And if they are found dishonest, serious consequences would inevitably follow. The court has made very serious and severe statements about Mr. Low Thia Khiang and Ms. Sylvia Lim. it concluded that their conduct of town council matters lacked candor and transparency, and that they had not acted honestly and with integrity. Imagine if a court had made such findings against PAP town councillors. Is it even conceivable that a PAP MP, whom the court has described in these terms, can remain in the town council and continue handling public funds as if nothing had happened? At the very least, he would have been asked to go on leave, pending any effort to clear his name through an appeal. What sort of questions would the Workers' Party be asking the PAP? What sort of demands would they be making of the government? The opposition must hold themselves to the same standards that they rightly apply to the government.
According to Mr. Heng, the town council system was an important way for Singaporeans to judge who deserves to run the country. It allows political parties to prove their mettle, even if they're not the government.
The Workers' Party cannot stay silent on this. This is not the way to conduct yourself in politics. Trust between the electorate and elected officials is vital in democratic societies. When trust breaks down, the people will feel that their leaders are disconnected and only seem to be looking after themselves and their friends. We see this happening in many countries. We must never let this happen in Singapore.
The Workers' Party's deeds were not transparent or accountable. With public funds and residents' monies at stake, they couldn't sweep matters under the carpet.
All that this House is asking for is for Ms. Sylvia Lim and Mr. Low Thia Khiang to recuse themselves from dealing with or having oversight over financial matters until the court case is concluded. Given the court's findings, this is the least that they can do.
He added that it falls on the MPs to ask the Workers' Party what it intends to do to put its own house in order.